We've been reporting this year on the story of little Benton Harbor, Michigan. Benton Harbor is very small, very poor, and rather broken as a city. Benton Harbor was the first town in Michigan to feel the tender caress of the state's revamped emergency manager law. Michigan passed a more limited emergency manager law under a Democratic governor in the 1980s. But in March of this year, the new Republican majority there created sort of an enhanced version, like enhanced interrogation. Republican Governor Rick Snyder's new version of the law gives an emergency overseer complete control of any town that's been taken over. An emergency overseer, like the one in Benton Harbor, can strip all power from local elected officials. He can remove them from office. He can abolish their offices altogether. He can cancel contracts. He can even move to dissolve the whole town, just take it off the map, on one man's decision. Benton Harbor was taken over by the state under the old law. In April, under the enhanced version, their emergency manager issued an order that said the outcome of Benton Harbor's local elections was in effect being overruled. What the people of that town voted for, null and void. The emergency manager decreed that the elected town commission no longer had any power. Based on his own ruling, he alone would be the government of Benton Harbor.
The fact of the matter is, city manager is now gone. I am the city manager. I replaced the finance director. So I'm the finance director. I'm the city manager. I am the mayor. I'm the commission. And I don't need them. You're running the city. You are the mayor. You are the commission.
Now Benton Harbor's part of the story may almost be over. That emergency manager says his time there is nearly done. But Michigan's Republican majority is just getting started. On Friday, the state began a review of the finances of the city of Detroit as a possible precursor to installing an emergency manager there, too, to putting Detroit under what its critics call financial martial law. In Flint, Michigan last week, the new emergency manager there canceled all city council meetings and decided to stop paying the elected mayor and city council. He made that decision unilaterally. He's basically overthrown the government there and overruled the results of the last election. He has installed himself instead. The city of Pontiac, Michigan, got its emergency manager in September. He tells a local radio station that he is ready for that untrammeled authority.
I don't know, Frank, what you would do in a place like Pontiac, Flint, Detroit, and so on, cities of that nature, if you didn't have a Public Act 4.
Well, it's being portrayed as an act that takes the election, the right to a ballot away from the people, that it takes power away from elected officials and hands it over to a tyrant, if you will, a dictator. How is that wrong? Where do people get it wrong?
Well, I don't know. I guess I'm the tyrant in Pontiac then, if that's the way it is.
I guess I'm the tyrant. Pontiac's emergency manager is at least from Pontiac, so at least he is the tyrant of his own hometown. He will now have unilateral authority to destroy the town if he wants to dissolve it, along with results of the last election, when Pontiac voted for its own local officials. So you've got Flint and Pontiac newly under state control. You've got the big city of Detroit now under review, as well as the tiny town of Inkster, Michigan. Chris Savage, who's a Michigan Democratic activist, has been following the emergency manager law on his site, Eclectablog. He posted a chart of the places that either have an emergency manager already or could get one soon. Chris looked at the census data and he looked at the towns on that list, and he realized that when you put them together, you can tell that just over half of the African Americans in the state of Michigan are on the verge of having no meaningful local democracy. Chris writes, quote, solving these municipalities' problems does not start from the baseline that the locally elected, democratically elected officials are not a useful part of the process to be shoved aside. Everything that happens should begin at the baseline that democracy is not just important, it's essential. I still believe the story of Michigan's emergency manager law, of what's being done to democracy in the name of fixing Detroit and Flint and Pontiac and Inkster and Benton Harbor. I still believe that this could be the most important and most undercovered story of the year. I know my colleague Ed Schultz feels the same way.